All right, fellas, we have a Final Four. What a game. I thought the Elite Eight games were about to be just shitters, bro. And then here comes Duke, and here comes UConn, and Braylon Mullins, and Danny Hurley. Danny Hurley is the greatest coach in college basketball, and I don't want to hear a peep out of any UConn hater ever again. Oh, he cries too much on the sideline. Well, how's 16-3 in the NCAA tournament since he took over at UConn? How is 4 Final Four appearances in 3 seasons? 4 seasons. How's that for you? And the only year they didn't make it, they took the national champion Florida Gators down to the wire as an 8 seed. Consistently recharging, not even rebuilding, just reloading. It's Klingon, it's Sonogo, now it's Terrace Reed. Alex Caravan, the consistent, the constant through that. And they have such a good combination year in and year out of electric freshman guard play or younger guard play, whether it's Stephon Castle this year with Braylon Mullins, who was inconsistent at times and hit that clutch three. But you combine that with elite experience with guys like Caravan, even Solo Ball, who hasn't been the greatest in this tournament run. It's just Danny Hurley establishing a culture and figuring it out in March every single year. 130-0. We're number 1 seeds, went up by 15 at half. Now it's 130-1. That only win against a 1 seed, down 15 at half. Dan Hurley and the UConn Huskies. He's the best coach in the country. What a game. And everybody's going to talk about Braylon Mullins and the shot that he hit. Rightfully so. But UConn was 1 for 18 from beyond the arc in this game, ladies and gentlemen. And they were hanging in there. Terrace Reed just taking over in the second half. They outscored them 44-28 in the second half. Silas Demery came in and hit some really clutch threes from opposite corners down the stretch. Alex Caravan hit a really, really clutch three with a couple of minutes to go. And that's just how important it is to have veteran guys. And then what a choke by Duke. John Scheyer does it again. Ultimate choke job. I don't know how you leave that huddle going in to the final sequence. I don't know how John Scheyer didn't tell his players in that huddle leading up to the final sequence, hey, if you get the ball, just catch it. Just catch it. We just need to get to the free throw line. We don't need to cross half court. And yet they're just spamming the ball around the floor. And then what a bad decision by Boozer, man. It is just awful. They choked a 19-point lead this year, or whatever it was, 15 at half. They were up 14 against Houston. They're up 10 with like a minute 30 to go against Houston. Unreal choke job. They choked against Texas Tech earlier this year. John Scheyer might be the greatest recruiter in the country besides John Calipari. And honestly, he's been the best recruiter in the country over the past 4 seasons. But he can't coach late in games in March. He can't do it. So maybe they need to get someone else on the staff, or John Scheyer needs to grow up. But that guy is a joke in the big moment. He needs some veteran help, bro. Like Krzyzewski always had great elite guard plays, but he also had, or elite freshmen, but he also had good veteran players to complement those great freshmen. Whether it was Grayson Allen, who was like a 3-year starter, or was it Trey Jones? I think his name was, the guard that he had there for a minute in the back half of the Krzyzewski era. Like Scheyer needs to just establish some guys with real experience and seniority that are primary ball handlers, not freshmen every single year. And I think he's learning that, but he just chokes down the stretch yet again. Couldn't happen to a worse fan base. Duke is a joke. Screw him. And I will give you guys a full in-depth Final Four preview on tomorrow's episode. But for now, we're just going to recap these Elite Eight games. Michigan, Tennessee. I mean, what an ass whooping. Yaxel ties a program high in the NCAA tournament with 27-7. And it's really the foul trouble that Tennessee got into early in this game. Akpara picked up 3 with 15 or 10 minutes to go in the first half. Ament got into foul trouble early. Those are 2 of their most, you could argue, besides Jacoby Gillespie, their next 2 most impactful players. And without those 2 guys on the floor against the Michigan Wolverines team that has a guy like Yaxel, that has Morez Johnson, that has Amara, you're going to want your 3 and your 4, or your 4 and your 5. Probably your 3 and your 4. in Amen and Akpar. You're going to want those big guys down low when you play a team that relies so much on their front court the way Michigan does, and having to have those guys sit on the bench. Like Amen played 30 minutes, but he didn't come in with, and he didn't play good, to be fair. But Akpara playing 24 minutes really just screwed Tennessee in this game. He is the engine of that offense. He is the engine of that defense on the interior as well. So him getting into foul trouble, and Tennessee and Michigan, they were going back and forth for the first 10 minutes. They were trading blows. Then Akpara goes to the bench. Michigan goes on their run. And that was it from Michigan from them. But I got to tell you what, Jax Selendenborg really pisses me off a little bit. He's a fantastic player. I think he's the best player in the country. Like, I don't think it's that crazy to say that. Probably AJ DeBansa, but he's not going to get it because BYU wasn't a good enough team. And the Wooden Award kind of has just been, all right, we're going to give it to the best player on the best team. And Yaxel is the best player on Michigan, who was one of the best teams in the country all year. And he would deserve the Wooden Award. Like, he's a fantastic player, but he's arrogant. And why are we rolling the ball up 20 on Tennessee? Like, just pick up the ball, get in. Why are we subbing him back in either way when you're up 30? He's a terrific player, but he's a little bit annoying. And I think this Michigan team doesn't have the guard play to go with Arizona. So we'll see. I'll give you guys a full breakdown of that game in coming days. But Michigan's not an easy team to root for. I'll tell you that right now. Not an easy team to root for. And what a run for Tennessee and Rick Barnes. Nobody expected them to be in the Elite Eight. And if Felix Akpar doesn't get into foul trouble, I still think Michigan wins, but it's not the route that it was, man. Seriously, he is so huge for them. And yeah, not a good shot. 19% from three. Wow, I didn't even realize it was that bad in real time. But I guess they were just hucking at the end too to try and keep this thing close. Bad tournament from Nate Ament. And now that Nate Ament's freshman season is in the books, it was an underwhelming March Madness for Nate Ament. It was not a good out of conference for Nate Ament, but he picked things up in SEC play. Like, he was averaging 20, close to 25 per game for a little bit of a stretch in January and February in SEC play in such a loaded draft class this year. Would it be in Nate Ament's best interest to just collect another year of a ridiculous bag from Rick Barnes or whoever? Maybe there's money out there for him in the portal and he can develop another year in college and go be a real weapon on a contender and then be a top 5 pick in the 2027 NBA draft class that's not as strong as the 2026 draft class. I think that's a real possibility, man, because he might have played himself out of a lottery pick. I feel like once he gets into workouts and you see his shot creating ability and you see the size and frame, he'll probably still be a top 10 pick. I still think he should be, but he didn't exactly look good in March. He looked lost in that Virginia game. He was clutch against Iowa State, but he averaged 10 points on 36% from three and 33% from the field in March Madness. That's not good for Nate Ament. So he might have played himself out of a lottery pick. I don't think it would be crazy for Ament to go back to college for another year, declare in the 2027 class, which is nowhere near as loaded as this year's class, and potentially be a top 5 pick and maybe even play himself. I don't know what next year's class looks like, but play himself into a real, maybe even the number 1 overall. I mean, he's 6'10" and he's a great shot creator. The shot just wasn't falling for him, especially in March Madness. But you saw games. Like, he had 27 against Auburn. And I think he had a really nice game against, was it Kentucky or? Yeah, 29 against Kentucky, had 28 against Ole Miss, 22 against Auburn. Like, he had some really great games. He had 27 in the first round of the SEC tournament against Auburn. Like, he put some really good games together where he just couldn't miss and he looked unstoppable. Why can't he just stay another year? Why can't he be that consistent shooting the ball if he has another year to get up to college level speed, D1 physicality, put some meat on his bones, become more of a threat down low as well? And I think that Rick Barnes is a hell of a coach, man. So I think it'd be good. It'd be good for Nate Ament if he stayed another year. Let's talk about these other games. Unfortunately, I was at work for them, and we got busted yesterday. Pause. But it was a real busy. It was really busy. We got really busy yesterday. Arizona, Purdue, didn't watch it. Illinois, Iowa, kind of watched the first half, didn't watch a second of the second half. So I don't want to just box score watch here and give you guys opinions on things that I didn't see with my own 2 eyes, because I feel like that would be an injustice to the viewer watching this right now. But by the way, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you made it this far. But I got to tell you what, Illinois has not had the toughest of stretches in this tournament. Houston's a really good team, but we know they've had their woes offensively. Before that, it was VCU and Penn, and then Iowa was probably the weakest team in the Elite Eight, and they handled them. Didn't have the size down low to rebound with them. Keaton Wagler was unbelievable. Shout out Bennett Sturts. Terrific run for Bennett Sturts. That guy's probably going to declare the NBA draft. He might have played himself into a lottery pick, but Keaton Wagler is unbelievable. He's one of the best passers in the country. He can score at will. And for those that didn't just tune in for March Madness, remember when Keaton Wagler had 45 in Mackey against Purdue. Didn't miss. He is unbelievable. good size, length, athleticism, and he's surrounded by absolute snipers, whether it's Stojakovic, the Ivisic twins, Ponytail Jake Davis. Illinois is a real dangerous team, but if the threes aren't falling, how much will that be able to get them over the hump against a team like UConn, or even if they beat UConn against a team like Arizona or Michigan in the national championship? And that's the thing. Like, these teams are way better defensively than Iowa was, way better defensively than VCU was. Now, Houston's one of the best defenses in the country. But what Illinois is not getting credit for is what they've done defensively. They've held 3 straight games now in NCAA tournament. They've held teams under 60, including a couple of top 25 teams ranked in offensive efficiency per Torvik in Iowa and Houston. So as great as Illinois' offense is, with Wagner, Stojakovic, Ponytail Jake Davis, the Ivisic twins, all of the issues that came over from Europe, Illinois' defense has really locked in. And it didn't look like they had any type of defensive firepower, defensive spark in the back half, the last 5-6 games of their Big Ten schedule. But now, 55 against VCU, 55 against Houston, holding Iowa to under 60. Illinois is a real problem. You combine the way they've been playing defense with Keaton Wagler, who's the best point guard remaining, and the snipers they have in their role players, they're a real problem. They're a real problem. But they also have not played a team as good defense. UConn is a weird team. They're inconsistent defensively. When they really lock in, there's a short list of teams better than them, and Houston is an elite defense. But Illinois is a problem for sure. Arizona is the best team in the country. Co-Pete with the 20 burger. I literally did not watch a second of this game, unfortunately. I was really busy at work, and then I was driving home from work, and I was talking on the phone during the season. So I did not catch a single sliver of this game. Well, you know how I feel about Arizona. I think if Arizona continues to win this if Arizona continues on the run that they are on, this might be one of the bloodiest national championship runs we have ever seen. SEC champion John Calipari with Darius Acuff, who might be a top 5-6 pick, Malik Thomas, who could be a top 20 pick, and that Arkansas team. Then Purdue, when Purdue was the preseason number 1 ranked team in the country, Braden Smith, Fletcher Loyer, Trey Kaufman-Renn, all returning. Big Ten champs, they take them out. Then they take the Big Ten regular season champs down in Michigan, who was a top 3 team basically all year, especially after they went on that run in non-conference play where they beat the brakes off of Arkansas, or not Arkansas. They beat the brakes off of Gonzaga. I forget who else they played in that little run there, but that little spurt in non-conference play where they just put belt to everybody. And then they'd go in a national championship, and they'd beat a UConn team led by Danny Hurley, who's been to 3 Elite Eights or 3 Final Fours in the last 4 seasons, or they beat an Illinois team that is at one point in the season, one of the most historically best offensive efficiency teams in the country, with Keaton Wagler, who's probably a lottery pick, and then a bunch of 23-year-old Europeans. If Arizona can pull it off, and they've covered every single game they played, by the way. So if Arizona can pull this off, it would be one of the greatest championship runs we have ever seen in March Madness. But yeah, that'll do it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. That's a recap of the Elite Eight. I love you guys. And now make sure you subscribe. Make sure you head over if you want full podcast episodes on Spotify. Fire Sports Takes on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe. I go live on TikTok every single day as well. Fire Sports Takes on TikTok. I love you guys. I will talk to you guys on the next episode of whatever the hell we're talking about. Probably going to be a lot of NFL draft stuff. So if you like the NFL draft, stay tuned. And I'll have a Final Four preview for you guys tomorrow.